Hey, welcome. Today we're diving into a really transformative vision for education, and it all comes from the book Teach I. It's a whole philosophy that kind of challenges us to rethink what school's even for, moving way beyond just grades and aiming for something so much bigger.
So let's just start with the big one, a question I bet we've all thought about. What is school really for? I mean, is it just about getting that diploma, landing a decent job, or is there something more, something deeper we should be aiming for?
For the longest time, the answer has always been about those external things, right? Get the A, get the degree. But the philosophy we're digging into today flips that script completely. It says, nope, let's shift our focus away from those outside markers and onto the stuff that really matters, gaining actual knowledge and building skills that stick with you for life.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to build this idea from the ground up, like a set of building blocks. First, we'll lay down the foundational goal. Then, we'll draw up the blueprint, the big vision. After that, we'll gather the materials, these essential traits, and then we'll look at the tools for the job. And finally, we'll see what the whole thing looks like when it's built.
Okay, first things first, the foundation. This is the bedrock, the core principle that everything else we're about to talk about rests on.
And this quote, wow, it just nails it. It makes this super powerful distinction. See, knowledge and skill, those are the real goals. Grades and degrees, they're just benchmarks. Think of them like signposts on a long hike. They show you you're on the right path for sure, but they are not the top of the mountain. The real prize is the climb itself, that pursuit of excellence.
So, let's move to our next block. If that last part was the foundation, this next piece is our blueprint. It's the ultimate vision, what this whole educational model is trying to build. And that blueprint is to create what's called a socially useful productive citizen, or an SUPC for short. And this is a cool story. The idea actually came from a 10th grade course the author took called Socially Useful Productive Work. It was this class where they learned practical stuff like gardening or making soap, and that name just stuck and it grew into this incredible vision of a whole person who's not just smart, but ethical and driven to make a real positive difference. So what does being an SUPC actually mean? Well, let's break it down. Socially useful is about being ethical, cooperative, and having empathy for others. Productive? Well, that's about being competent and motivated. Yeah, but it's also about being knowledgeable, healthy, and even happy. And citizen brings it all together, emphasizing things like responsibility, integrity, and being a contributing member of your community. It's a truly complete picture of a successful person.
Okay, so if the SUPC is our blueprint, what are the materials we need to build one? Well, that brings us to the 20 essential traits that this philosophy says we need to be actively teaching and nurturing in every single student.
The first pile of materials is all about what's going on inside, your mindset and your drive. You've got curiosity, which is the spark that gets learning started in the first place. Motivation is the engine that keeps you moving. And then you have grit and patience, and that's the fuel that keeps the engine running, especially when things get tough. Without this stuff, none of the other skills can really grow. Next up, we've got the cognitive and creative tools. Critical thinking, that's what lets you really analyze and question the world instead of just accepting it. Creativity is what gives you the power to dream up new solutions. And productivity, that's the magic skill of actually turning those awesome ideas into something real. Now this group, this is the moral compass. Integrity and ethics are the absolute bedrock of trust. Without them, everything else falls apart. Compassion makes sure that what we do is guided by a real care for other people. And composure, that's that amazing ability to stay cool and make good choices, especially when you're under pressure. And finally, we have the traits that help us all work together to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Cooperation, empathy, and inclusivity. These are absolutely crucial for working on a team, for understanding where other people are coming from, and for building a society where everybody feels like they belong and can bring their best stuff to the table.
Okay, we have our foundation, we've got our blueprint, and we have all our materials. So how in the world do we actually put it all together? Let's talk about the construction phase, the teacher's holistic toolkit.
And this chart really shows you the heart of that toolkit. It's not just one thing, it's the perfect blend of three big ideas. You've got philosophy, which answers the why, like, why are we even teaching this? Then there's psychology, which tackles the how do our brains actually learn things? And finally, pedagogy. That's the practical art and science of teaching. They all have to work together. Now, one of the coolest techniques in this toolkit is understanding the difference between two modes. First, you have learning mode. This is all about exploring, being curious, and seeing mistakes as amazing chances to get better. Then you have winning mode. That's when you take everything you've learned and apply it to hit a goal, like on a test or in a game. But here's the key. Winning should be the result of great learning, not the entire point of it. And maybe the most powerful tool in the whole box, it's just language. Seriously, the words a teacher chooses can literally change a student's world. So instead of just saying, "Good job," imagine hearing, "I was so impressed with how you broke that problem into smaller steps to solve it." That kind of descriptive praise builds real confidence that lasts. It totally shapes how a student sees themselves and creates an atmosphere where everyone feels safe to grow.
All right, let's put all these pieces together and take a look at the final structure, the amazing result of this whole process.
And this slide just sums up our whole journey perfectly, doesn't it? We started by laying the foundation, that philosophy of focusing on knowledge and skill. Then we drafted the blueprint, our vision of a socially useful, productive citizen. We gathered our materials, those 20 essential traits, and then we learned how to use the tools, those integrated techniques from psychology, philosophy, and pedagogy.
So why does any of this matter? Because the end goal here isn't just about creating kids who are good at taking tests. It's about shaping whole human beings who are knowledgeable, yes, but who are also compassionate, resilient, and ready to not just get by, but to actually thrive and make the world a better place.
So I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. Think about all those essential traits we talked about, everything from curiosity and grit to integrity and empathy. If you could only pick one of them to make sure the next generation had, which one would you choose and why?